Alright, here in this one we're going to create and modify a user and explore PowerShell a little bit. So let's start with first creating our user. We're going to create user1. So let's go to our search windows and go to control panel, or start typing control panel. It'll come up, we'll click on it and go down to user accounts. You're logged in as administrator right now. I forgot to say that. I logged in already, sorry. So log in as administrator, use the CyberOps password. And then we'll go to user accounts, manage another account. There we go. Add user account, click on that. We're going to add a user1, so the user1. We'll give it a password. You can pick whatever you want. I think the lab has trainings using a 1 and a $sign, so I'll use that. But as long as you remember the password, you can choose it. And I'll show you this when I'm done here. I'll show you so you can see it. Whoop. And we'll use a password hint. Okay, I'll go up here just to show you. First, we might as well look to see if you click that, then you can actually see it. Hopefully they match. It looks like they do. That's the password I'm using. And we'll click next. And then go ahead and click finish. And now we've created our user1. Let's sign out of our administrator and log in with our new account and explore that a little bit. Go down to our user1, put in our password. And click enter. Now it should be coming up. We're logging in as user1. So let's go to File Explorer and we'll navigate to our user1 folder and look at its security. So if we go to File Explorer and we go to C, this PC, C, open the users folder, double clicking on it. We'll right click on user1 and go down to properties. And then we'll click our security tab. And here we can just kind of explore, okay, so the system has full control over this user1 folder. User1 does as well. And our administrators group. So our groups that have full control are our system and our administrator, and then our users user1, which makes sense because it's user1's folder. Now let's close this up. Let's go to the CyberOps. Okay, go away. Let's go up to CyberOps, the CyberOps user. Click on that, right click, and go down to Properties. And then again, click the Security tab here, and you'll notice you get an error, just a notice that says you must have read permissions to view the properties of this object. You know what that means is, as user1, I don't have permission to access the CyberOps users folder. So let's log back. Let's just log out of this one. Let's log back in as administrator. Send our Control-Alt-Delete, go down to administrator, and our password, CyberOps. Click enter, or hit enter. We're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the account properties for user1. So if we, whoops, I don't want to do that. Let's go to search windows. Let's go to our control panel again. Close that up. Let's go to search windows, start control panel, and click on it. Come on. My mouse doesn't seem to want to click right now. And we're going to select administrative tools. Now you can change your view by, so if your view is not the same, so if you view by, we want to view by small icons or large icons, but if it doesn't come up like that for you, you can just go here. So it might come up by default like this. If it comes up by default like this, just go over here to view by and click on it. Okay. seem to have a clicking problem with my mouse. And we'll click here, and then we can just go to small or large icons, whatever works for you. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you that because a lot of times it'll default to the category view, and all the things we're doing, we want to look at the icons. So let's click on Administrative Tools, and then we're going down to Computer Management, double click on that. Under Local Users and Groups, and the Users folder. We'll just double click the Users folder. I'm going to right click User 1, we'll go down to Properties, and we're going to see what group User 1 is a member of. So we click the Member Of tabs. User 1 is the member of the Users group. Okay. Now if I hit X here, let's see which one the CyberOps, or which groups the CyberOps user is a member of. So we click on CyberOps user, and then right click, go down to Properties, go to Member Of, and you'll see that he's part of the administrators and the users group. So let's go ahead, let's modify our User 1 account. We're going to go back to Control Panel. No, we're going to just close that out, sorry. We're going to go back to, I want to close this one out too. Go back to our Control Panel, and we're going to go to User Accounts. We're going to modify our User 1. We're just going to make our User 1, just make him an administrator. We'll remove him as an administrator because it's just a like activity, right? So we'll see how we can now escalate the privileges or make User 1 part of the administrators group. Then we'll remove him from the administrators group, and we'll actually get rid of the User 1 account. So we went to Control Panel. We went to User Accounts. We're going to go to Manage Another Account, and then we're going to select User 1, and we're going to go to Change the Account Type. Go down and click the radio button next to Administrator, and then click Change Account Type. Remember, you're logged in as administrator, so as the administrator, you can make a local user the User 1 and administrator as well, part of the administrators group. So we just did that. Now we can actually see that he's part of the administrators group. But let's go further into that. And let's go back to our Control Panel. Ah, shoot, that's right. Forgot that I did that. Back to our Control Panel, and we're going to go to our Administrative Tools, and we'll go back to Computer Management. So we'll double click on that, click Local Users and Groups, and then we'll double click on our Users tab. Right click User 1, go down to Properties, and if we go to Member Of again, now we see that User 1 has the administrative privileges and is part of the administrators and users group. Now let's remove him from, we can stay right where we're at, we can remove User 1 from the administrators group by clicking on Administrators and just click Remove, and then click OK. Now if we want to delete the account, we can click on User 1, just stay where we're at, click on User 1, right click and click Delete. Asks you, are you sure? And it gives you the information you need to know. So each user account has a unique identifier in addition to their username. Deleting a user account deletes this identifier and it can't be restored. And you just kind of read through that. Do we want to do that? Yes, we do. And now we've removed our User 1. So another way to go ahead and do that is to go to the Control Panel and go to the User Accounts, manage the account, select it, and delete it. So if we go back to our Control Panel, go to User Accounts. Now the user won't be there, so I can't really, unfortunately, show you. But if we go to User Accounts, we go to Manage Another Account. We can select the User 1 that would have been down here, and then delete, and then select it, then delete account. So see, if I select CyberOps, then I can select Delete Account. I don't want to do that because I'm going to need that. We need the CyberOps user later, but if it was another user, right, just click on the user and then click Delete Account. So that's it for creating and modifying a user. Let's go ahead and take a look at PowerShell. All right, so PowerShell can function as both a command console and can be used to create, scripts to automate things. Here we're going to look mainly at its functioning as a command console, and because we'll also show our command prompt that we're used to, and we'll show the same things in PowerShell. So first, if we go to, sorry, I'm clicking on things I shouldn't be. No, that's not what I want to do. Click there. And in the search window, so if we go to search windows and we type PowerShell, and then this will come, we'll click Windows PowerShell. I'm going to just kind of make this a little smaller. Go ahead and enter so I get a prompt. I'm going to do the same thing and bring up our command prompt. It doesn't matter if I do it either way. Type CMD to bring up our command prompt. Okay. So now we just kind of want to look at the command prompt and PowerShell commands and just see how they're similar. And again, PowerShell has a different additional power in that we can create scripts, and that it has a functionality to create scripts to automate tasks and things like that. But we're just going to look at the little things. So if we enter the dir command to look at the directory in PowerShell and our command prompt windows, and just look at our output. So if we type dir and hit enter, all right, we see what's in the administrator directory. If we go over to our command prompt and we type enter, we'll notice basically the same things in here. Right, so both windows are just going to give me a list of all the subdirectories and files in the administrator directory, dates and times, things like that. They're both giving us that information. So if we also try some other command, so if we, IF would be Linux, let's do ipconfig, and look at our Ethernet adapter information. If we do an ipconfig in our command window that we're used to, we notice we're getting the same information. We know that our IPv4 address here is 192.168.0.10. If I go back here, it also gives me that my IPv4 address is 192.168.10. PowerShell commands, or commandlets, or CMD-lets, are constructed in the form of a verb-noun string. To identify the PowerShell command to list the subdirectories and files in a directory, we're going to enter get alias dir in PowerShell. So if we go through and we do get dash alias space dir, we find out that the PowerShell command for dir is get dash child item. So you can go through, I think in this lab it gives you a link to the TechNet stuff to go through and look and get more information about these. Let's look at netstat now in the PowerShell. In PowerShell. So if we type netstat-h, what we get is the available options for the netstat command. So you can kind of look through. -A displays all connections and listening ports. Then we've got -B displays executable involved in creating each connection and listening port. And you can just kind of look through all of these. Now next, what we want to do is we want to look at the routing table. So to do that, we've got to use the -R. So if we type, let's go down here and type netstat, get my mouse out of your way, -R. Now what we're getting is all the active routes on this machine. And you can kind of just look through them. And if we go, we have our loopbacks and our defaults, and we notice our gateway is 192.168.0.1. We can also find that down here. We also see our IPv6 routing table as of right now. Now, we could use a bunch of different parameters with netstat. So we want to do A, B, and we want to use A, B, N, and O. So if we type netstat dash A, B, N, O. We're getting all kinds of good information here. Let's scroll up a little bit. So now what we want to do, you notice that they come with process ID. So let's go ahead and look at some more information regarding this process ID, right? Or SVC host process. So these are all our processes. I should probably explain a little more. These are all the processes associated with any currently active TCP sessions. So we have SVC host listening, its process ID is 776. So now let's find out a little more about that. If we go down here and we right click on our taskbar, so if you right click on your taskbar and go up and click Task Manager, and we'll click on the Details tab. Then we're going to click on the Process ID heading in order to sort that in order. And what do we say? We had we're going to look at 776, right? Yep. So if I'll make you movement stick here. Go down to our 776, and we go ahead and click on it. Oh, there we go. We're going to right click it and go down to Properties. Now we get more information about that process that has an active TCP. What kind of information can we get? We can get the description. So now we found the process in our netstat. So let's say we find a process, we do a netstat, we think something's up, so we do a netstat. We find a process that we're not so sure about. I mean, this one we probably know, but we find something maybe we're not so sure about, and so then we can open our task manager, find that process, right click, go to properties, and we can get some information. So we can get what type of file it is, the description, current location is Windows 30 System 32. You could click on the security and find out kind of what has access to it and things like that. And so we know that, so what kind of information? Let's go, so if we go to the Details tab, I guess I was on there, I was clicking through, sorry. It's an application, a Windows operating system, the original file name, the language, things like that. All right, so now the next part, we're going to clear out our recycle bin using PowerShell, and I don't have anything in my recycle bin right now. You can double check, but there's usually a little trash looking thing if you do. So it's empty, so I got to go ahead and create something. You might not have to create something, but if you do, let's go ahead and make sure you create something. I'm just going to create a little notepad file. Oh, notepad file. This is such a fun lab. And we'll save that just on our desktop, because remember, we're just doing it so we have something to put in our recycle bin. And we'll click Desktop, and we'll call it Fun Lab, and click Save. Ooh, and it showed up on there. We'll close it up. Now we're just going to delete it, so we have something to empty out of our recycle bin. So we'll go down to take Fun Lab, drag it to our recycle bin. Notice you see the trash in there, but we'll double check that in fact our recycle bin does have something in it. Let's clear our recycle bin using PowerShell. Clear -recycle bin. Recycle bin, all one word. Hit enter. It's going to ask you if you're sure. Yes, you are. Click type Y for yes and hit enter. And what happens? You notice your recycle bin's empty. You can tell because you don't see any trash, but we can also double click on it or click on it. There we go. To open it, and you can see that it's empty. So now we've just cleared our recycle bin using PowerShell. So we've done what we want to do. We created user 1. We modified user one and then removed it, and then we used PowerShell to look at some of the commands that we could do. Some of the things in the command prompt or the command console that we would use were the same in PowerShell, and then we also cleared the recycle bin using PowerShell. So that's it for this one.